I'm back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Negative Degree Podcast. I'm your host with the most. You already know who it is, DJ Frostbite. I guess I might as well just not even change my name at this point. But hope you missed me. I missed all five of y'all who actually watched this fucking thing. Before we get into the topic of today, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the good shit. Don't forget to follow the Discord link, join the Frozen Wasteland, be a part of the conversation. If there's something if there's a topic that you want me to talk about on here, depending on what it is, I might talk about it. So join the Discord and tell me your opinions. Oh man, I haven't done this in so long. It's been what, like 2 weeks, I think, probably. I don't even know at this point. No, I've been away a lot. I've been sick and also just been depressed and shit in general. But I had the fucking flu. Still somewhat have it. Still have like a slight cough and shit like that. But try to get through it. Also, make sure you leave comments so that way I can read them out because I am doing this live. So leave comments, leave hearts, likes, whatever. Make sure you leave likes on YouTube so that way I can get more people and the algorithm can be like, oh, we can push this to other people. So that way it's not just me doing this in front of like 7 people who actually watch this. So, topic of today, I'm gonna give a little backstory. So, it is 2022, at the end of the year, and this year has made it 10 years since I graduated high school. Now, it was 7 months ago when it was actually when it was actually 10 years, whatever. So, I wanted to talk about school. Now, before I get into that, I actually graduated on my birthday, which is one of the coolest things, kind of. If I would have had a better day, if I had friends who actually remembered that my birthday was when it was, and didn't just wait until later. But school was not the best thing for me. Also, excuse the background noise. I don't know why in the middle of the day they decide to cut grass or blow leaves or whatever the fuck they're doing. Apologies on that. So, if you can hear it, I'm sorry. If you can't, cool. I'm just keep rocking with this thing. But anyway, school was not the best thing for me at all. Like, I was a good student. I just did not give a fuck at a certain point of just being in school. I think around like probably 7th, well, probably not even 7th, 8th grade, but like somewhere in that midst, probably like when I got to high school, I was just like, fuck school, I hate this shit, why do I have to be here? And I still kind of feel like that to this day. College was a little bit different because I was like, I actually want to be here. This feels like where I needed to be in the first place. And then you spend like thousands of dollars. It was like, wow. So here's the thing with me in school. With me personally, I feel like they don't teach you the actual things you need in real life. Understand when you're younger, you gotta learn some things. You gotta learn what I believe when I like pre-K and kindergarten and all that shit. They teach you like how to tie your shoes and how to count, which mostly your parents can teach you that shit. But then you get into addition and subtraction and doing a lot of stuff. Basically, like your first couple years of school is you learning some stuff and then going outside to play. Like that's vaguely what I remember from like preschool, kindergarten, up to probably like maybe 3rd grade, maybe. It was a lot of learning some shit and then being like, all right, we're going outside for recess. And that was like the best part of the day. I miss recess so much. Like, I wish they would have kept that shit going up till high school. It's like, all right, recess. It was like, it was the best. It was freedom. I guess recess for high school would just been what for me would have just been gym class because I'll get into that a little bit. But I will say up till about probably like eighth grade, you don't really learn a lot more. And I know like they'll teach you more math and more science and blah 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 blah. And then they try like in high school they try to get you prepared for college, but not really. Like so I went to two high schools. I went to like my freshman and sophomore year. I went to basically an all black school that was in my neighborhood. From when I was a kid up to about 15, 16, I went to basically predominantly all black schools. It was Mexican, Puerto Rican, like sprinkle of white people in there, and I do mean a sprinkle, like maybe like two, and I don't mean the teachers. I mean like actually in my class, it might have just been like two white people. That's it. So yeah, like they would teach us so much, but then the fact that they probably didn't have a fucking budget, weren't making a lot of money to get us the resources that we actually needed. Like education was limited, and I feel like that's a lot of places in different states as well. Also, I want to preface this too. I went to school in Chicago. It's in a town called Dalton, Illinois. You look it up if you want to. It's black. It's a black suburb, especially as of now. But went to Franklin Elementary, went to Lincoln Middle School, then went to Thornridge for 2 years, and then end up transferring to Tinley Park High School, which fucking sucked. I'll get into that school a little bit later. But Franklin and Lincoln, Lincoln they kind of they re not rebuilt it, but renovated it and stuff like that, so it was a little bit better. Franklin, that school was monstrosity, you know. But they tried to do the best they could. Then when I got to middle school, like I said it was certain stuff that yes we still needed to learn or whatever. It's so many noises right now, but it only a certain amount of things they could really teach us. Like I said, it was just more math, more science. It wasn't like them teaching us how to like write a paper or shit like that. That was more when we got into high school. Now, my high school still was kind of the same thing. Now, I did take, I will say this about my first high school, especially during my sophomore year. They did do something that was a little bit different that would help you in whatever field you think you were going to try to be into. So, when I got into high school, and once again, I went to Thornridge, go we are TR. I didn't graduate there. I'm still a Falcon. I'm not a fucking Titan. I don't care. I know I graduated fucking Tinley Park. Still in my heart, I'm rocking the Falcon. I do not care. I'll be a Falcon over a Titan any day. Especially that whack ass Titan that we had too. But so my sophomore year of high school, they had like houses, but that's what they called it, houses. So there was HHS, which was Health and Human Services. There was I can't remember the one for like it was like art and something, and then there was BENT. It was like business entrepreneurship, networking is whatever shit. Basically, it was like stuff where it's like you're gonna focus on this, so that way we can get rid of all this shit, and you just focus on the core thing. That was a good idea, and I feel like a lot of schools should do that because if I'm gonna go into a business thing, why am I taking an art class? That's just an easy fucking A for me, and it just gets me the fuck out of school. Which that's mostly what high school and shit was at a certain point of get this amount of credits or whatever, so that way you can get your ass out of high school and go to college. So I did kind of like that about school, where it was like, okay, you want to be more focused on this part of things, so we are going to give you this. We're going to eliminate bullshit, which is what college should do anyway. It's like, we're going to eliminate all this bullshit so that way you can focus on this. Now, here is the downside of this shit. Now, with health and human services stuff, you got all that stuff. You had to take like the whatever the baby class is and all the other dumb shit, you know, which most of the girls at my fucking school already had kids, so they're already like certified and all that bullshit anyway. Um, that's fucked up to say, but hey, it was the truth. I'll get into that in a little bit. So like health and human services, they had the shit down packed. Arts and whatever, I think it's arts and communication, something like that. Most of that stuff is kind of all the same. The house that I chose, Ben, it was a complete clusterfuck. I'll say that definitely for sure. Like I had to take speech, I had to take economics, and whatever else. And I can say this right now. The speech class, it was whatever. Economics, bullshit. Straight up bullshit. I still, till this day, I feel like it wasn't home economics, just economics. Learning about money and shit like that. I still, till this day, have no idea how to balance a checkbook because that is something they should teach you in school, especially if it's a economics class. They can teach you about taxes and all. Well, I actually, they didn't even teach us about taxes. That is how sad that shit is. Like they would teach us of like how much they add tax to stuff, but never told us how to actually do taxes or like all that stuff. Like that's why I'm still fuzzy about like all that shit. Not even fuzzy, like I have no fucking clue about any of that stuff. I'm just gonna end up getting a fucking accountant or something like that, or just keep going to H&R Block. But I feel like that's something that they should be teaching you in school. Also, I'm gonna get into this now. As someone who had to take health class, they did not teach us a lot about sex. Now, the semester before us, they said they had like damn near a month or probably like the entire semester of like them learning about like sexual organs and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And you know, all that shit. I got maybe like a week, if that. Like they showed us a video. It was like, this is the male organ and da da blah blah blah. This is the female organ, da 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 blah blah blah. And I'm just like, that's it. And maybe it's just me watching too much Degrassi and other like shows and shit where they would go somewhat more into detail of that shit, and then they would give you like the little I call it like the gift bag where it was like you got condoms and you got whatever else, blah blah blah. My school did not do that shit at all. It was just like, hey, we touch about this, go have fun. And like I said, I'm pretty sure like the writing was on the wall at my school anyway because there was a lot of girls pregnant. It was girls when I graduated from middle school going into high school. It was a lot of girls who already had their first kid. Then going into high school, seeing a lot of girls after like the first quarter, which is just a few months. It's only a few. It's from August to like October. Like seeing girls fucking pregnant already, madness. I still remember this to this day. It was 16 girls pregnant in one semester. That's a lot. That's a lot. Wait. I feel like they could have did something better. And in all schools, they can always do better, depending on like how, if it's like private school, whatever. If anybody's been to private school, chime in and tell me your experience with that, because it might be a little bit better. You might have learned more stuff than I did. I actually had someone who I was gonna have on this podcast because she was homeschooled, but then we stopped talking to each other, and I was like, fuck her. Story for another day. So, had that, except with economics, speech class, and didn't really prepare me as much because, especially around that time, I wasn't a big talker. It did get me in front of like people to get me more in my comfort zone, but it wasn't really a lot of like it wasn't how speech to me was supposed to be like. Write it like preparing something and then going in front of the class. We did have like certain projects where it's like, oh, you had to show how to do this. It was one where we had to like demonstrate like like putting something together, like a certain skill or talent. And I was in auto shop, and we had the small gas engines, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna take this apart and put it back together, whatever. Which I fucked up entirely because I was in front of people. I could do it when it's not people around, especially around that time, and also shit just fucking happens. And a lot of people did the same thing too. A lot of people, which still crazy to this day, like around this time, like people still had VHSs. Especially in my schools, we had the DVD VHS combos. Pretty sure a lot of people remember that shit. But anyway, I'm sidetracking on that one. I still to this day feel like, especially with that house, the bent house, it could have been better. It could have been a lot of other things that they could have taught us. It's still things I think till this day that I still don't know because of high school and also because of college. And school might be different today. It might be worse today, considering a lot of stuff is more computerized and less more of a cooperative thing. Because I think a thing about school, especially around my time, it was you had to go into a lot of groups and talk to other people and rely on a lot of other people to get shit done. I feel I don't know. Somebody could chime off on this in the comments. Is it like that? Is it the same like that? Is it more a one-on-one individual thing? Somebody let me know. But I still feel like that idea that they had could have gone a little bit better. Instead of it just being like, oh, we're gonna throw in, you're gonna get more computer classes and more shit like that, which I didn't mind because I did learn some stuff. It could have been more of like learning about business stuff, which would have been nice. As someone who I guess I am now a entrepreneur. I don't work for really anybody. I work for myself. I could have used that stuff. I can still use how to balance a checkbook. I still barely know how to fucking write a check. And that is sad, but I'm just like, I don't really use checks. I know it's supposed to be like 0/100 or whatever like that, and or whatever. I know some stuff I still remember, but that is something that they should have taught me in school, probably even before high school, because they can teach about that in middle school. Excuse me, sorry about that. Another thing, when I was going into college, which I've gone to like different colleges and stuff. Honestly, don't feel like they should be charging what they charge. Like unless you went to a trade school where it was like you're going to focus on this one thing, and we're going to teach you the ins and out of it. I feel like just a regular college shouldn't be charging like seven to like $20,000 or whatever. I know that is that's about the same. Like people charge between like 3,000 like a semester to like 20,000 a fucking semester, and one semester basically you just doing all you just college prerequisites and prerequisites. That's not the word. Like just regular college bullshit with just college math, college science, psychology, da da blah blah blah, associate, and it's like I don't need this. I'm like I get it. You want me to add these credits and show that I did it, but I feel like there's a certain point where you don't need to know math unless you go through something like excuse me. When I went to college, I went for computers. So I would need a certain type of math, but not just, fractions and shit like that. Like I needed more algorithms and shit like that. Which they could have just gave me that class of just algorithms, logarithms, learning how to do certain stuff. More coding classes. Like give me that. Not just okay, well this fraction goes into this and blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't need that class. Also, psychology. Didn't need that class. If I'm doing something for computers, why do I need a psychology class? I don't care about other people, so why do I need this class? If I was going for psychology, then yes, give me that class. It is just a waste of time and a waste of money for you to go for something that's supposed to be in your field and they just give you bullshit to just add on just so you can get the credit. I felt like that's the same as high school, especially with how when I went to high school, it was, oh, here are some classes, pass this so that way you can get the credit and then be done with it. No, that's not how it should be. It legit should be more. It should be like a trade school. I feel like if you go to a trade school, you're not fucking doing math and science and social studies and all that and a fucking English class. You're focusing on what you're doing. Electricians are probably not doing a fucking an essay for an English class. They are learning like like how to fucking change a ceiling fan or something like that. I feel like that probably is a thing that electricians actually do learn. People who do like the FFA stuff, I'm pretty sure they're not like learning about the dichotomy of the world. They're learning how to fucking fix a tractor, and that's what a regular college and a university should be. It is okay. You are going for. I don't know, I'll stick with computers. You're going for computers. All right, cool. You're gonna take this. You're gonna take this basic fucking or like do a test. If someone, which I know they do this with I know for me it was the ACTs, but SATs and whatever else, or ISAT test and LSAT and whatever all the other dumb shit is. I know they do that for colleges to see where your knowledge is, which I'm gonna get into that shit too, because yeah, colleges like they should make you take like, okay, you're gonna be in this field. We want to see how much you know, and then depending on what that shows, then it should be like, okay, we're gonna take these basic classes out so that way you can go to more intermediate stuff, or we see you're lacking on this, so that way we're going to give you these basic classes, but we're going to skip this one for you because you do know this. It should kind of be like sports, kind of where let's do like basketball. Like they do a lot of those drills to see like how fast, like your agility and power, shit like that, whatever. They see what you lack, so that way they can put you. Excuse me. So that way they can put you where you need to go. This is me playing too much 2K, but I've seen like those drills and shit. They put you in order for you to get on a team. They have to look at your stats, so that way you go, okay, this person fits with this da da blah 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 blah, and then you get drafted. This should be how college is. It is, especially with your classes. Take a test for your field and be like, okay, you did good in this, bad in this, so we're gonna take this away so you don't have to waste your time with that. But we're gonna add this onto it so that way you can further your education into that. It shouldn't be, oh, you're coming to school for this. We're gonna give you those classes, but you're gonna start off with these bullshit classes first, so that way in your next semester you can get all those classes that you actually need. Like when I went to college, they had me do like college algebra and college English and this and that and blah blah blah. I remember it was a class, and this is when I went to like JUCO, a junior college. They just gave me a class where I just had to show up, and then we just talked, and I got an A. I was like, why am I here? Like, why do I need this class? Why? Like, it was barely any fucking work. I think we maybe did like three things that was actually, I don't even think it was homework. I was like, why am I here? Like it's just it's an easy A. I get it, but it's not what I'm here for. Like I'm here to be challenged. Like that was the whole thing for college and universities is like it's supposed to be a challenge, so that way you can what's the word? I can't think of the word right now because it was supposed to be a challenge for you to overcome and be better from. It's not supposed to be, oh, we're just gonna sit here and talk about the week or this and that, blah blah blah, and just do a PowerPoint. I hated that. That was mostly psychology too, of just like PowerPoints and just writing down shit. Well, that's honestly just most fucking high school too. Just here's a PowerPoint, write shit down in your notes, and then we're gonna fucking quiz you on it. And it shouldn't. I feel like school, especially around that time, it wasn't a challenge. It was just busy work. And like if I wanted busy work, I could just stay home. I shouldn't have to pay for school and I'm not getting a challenge, which is another reason why I still hate school to this day. It's you spending money just to be babysat. And as someone who had to write, wrote a paper on school and how I think it feel, how I feel that it is, it especially when you get older, it is you, especially in my situation, someone who was seen as an adult, even though through the eyes of my parents, I was still a kid at 16 and shit like that. But to everybody else, as a young adult, being taught something by another adult who was not even that much older than me at some, like certain points, trying to tell me what to do, I was like, fuck off. Like, why am I listening to you for? Now that just may be me being the rebel without a cause or just being the shit disturber, as certain people will say, because I just didn't want to sit there and listen. It's just me just wanting to be the outcast and just try to say shit, just get a rise out of somebody. Neither here or there. That is a true statement, though, of you are listening to someone who probably doesn't have all the facts, who you don't know their fucking credentials as a teacher. They might just went like a lot of people do, went to a junior college, did the bare minimum to get their degree, and then just became a teacher. Now, yes, there are some teachers who have those big degrees who went to an Ivy League college or, did whatever, blah, 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 and actually learned how to be a teacher. Who are those people? I respect. But when you have someone who just comes in and just wants to get free coffee and just wants to boss people around, that's the thing that I hate. Those are teachers that I really did hate. When you don't give me a reason to want to be here and you don't give me a challenge, then I'm done. Now, I've had teachers who would give me a challenge or would see things through my view of, okay, he's not going to do something that he doesn't want to do. So I'm not going to force him to do it. I'm going to give him the decision to do it. I've had I've had a plant science teacher who was also my chess coach, and the only reason he was my chess coach is because he kind of told me about it, asked me to come by, check it out. If I didn't like it, that's completely fine. And I went by, checked it out, liked it, and got on the team. Those are the teachers that you always remember. You're not gonna remember the teachers who yell at you or tell you to do something. Well, some people remember those people because it's like, oh, they helped me strive to do more. No, the teachers who I liked personally were the ones who were like, hey, you don't want to do this. That's on you. You're gonna fail this class, or you this and that, blah blah blah. Hey, whatever. But if you really want to learn this, put your mind to it. I like those teachers or the teachers that were just like, look, like who were like straightforward with you. Was like, look, you can't be doing this bullshit. You need to like really learn this. Like I've had so many teachers from when I was younger to older where it was like, I have the potential to do something. They used to tell my parents that in those parent teacher conferences, which I still fucking hate to this day, but they would always tell my parents, he has the potential, but he just doesn't do it in class. I feel like that should tell you was, oh, he needs a talent, like not a talent, he needs a challenge, or he's just fucking bored. Which my parents, they didn't fucking care. It was like, do the work, shut up, and get the A. Which my parents still to this day don't fucking understand me. My dad doesn't fucking understand me at all. So when your parents don't fucking understand you and your teachers don't understand you, where it's just like, I just don't want to fucking be here. You're not giving me the thing that I need to drive me to want to be better. Then that's the problem. Now, going back to the structure of all this, there needs to be something different to all of this. There shouldn't be just a I don't want to say fundamental. It shouldn't be just a bare minimum of getting out of school, getting to college, blah 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 blah, and just be done. There should be something to where it is a challenge or a I don't want to say an easier way to get your diploma and degree, but it does need to be something to where it is more driven to what you want. And also, to get off of that part of school, school just in general, it's just all bullshit. They want to say it's a social aspect. It's all like it's you getting to know your fellow peers and all. No, it's not. Not at all. Especially in my point of view, it was more of a lot of people clicking up and then just not really talking to certain people. It's more anxiety filled than it is anything. It is, especially the way I grew up, it was kind of like, I don't want to say you were on your own, but it was kind of like somewhat of a jail mentality of like, find the people that you really fuck with. And so that way, when you get messed with, you got people that's on your side. And it's kind of fucked up. And that may be because I went to predominantly black schools and it's kind of how shit was. It shouldn't be that way. Now, when I went to my second high school, which was more diverse, which I still don't believe that to this day, but when it was more diverse, shit change a little bit. It was you could have more discussions with people and actually have like those different point of views, not just all black or Mexican, whatever. You got everybody wanting to talk and share their personal experiences, so that way you can get better. As much as I hated that shit, because coming from nothing but ghetto motherfuckers to seeing everybody and shit like that, is a culture shock. Which I'm glad I did have that because it kind of shaped me a little bit better. And that's a challenge that I did kind of like. At first, I was just like, I'm just fucking here. I don't want to fucking be here. I miss being with all black people, with the people that I fucking grew up with from like, when I was literally a kid, like 4 or 5 years old. Grew up with them all the way until my sophomore year of high school, and then now going to a whole different school. Like had to change. I literally changed the way I talked. I'm not even joking. But the way you hear me talk now is not the way I used to talk about 12, 13, 14 years ago. Completely different. I was I wasn't a hood nigga. I'll say that for sure. Like I wasn't no hood nigga. I did have like I did have an accent, but now it's changed. Which I kinda do like the fact it changed now. When I do go back home, it does come back here and there, but then after like a few days it gets back to this. But that is another thing that comes from school. It's you are a product of your surroundings. Another thing about school is you, especially depending on where you came from, excuse me, depending on where you came from, stuff like that, it is a detriment to your psyche, especially when you get older, and you get into like the high school age of like, and this might be a dramatization of it, but in honestly, me watching a lot of those fucking high school shows, which some of that stuff does track, like watching the grass and stuff like that. It is as close somewhat to a high school feel as you're gonna get, and there's probably other shows and shit like that that get more into it. But as like for me, I kind of did see a lot of that stuff when I was going into high school, seeing people. Well, I mean, seeing girls getting fucking pregnant, people ditching class, getting into fights, and doing all the other dumb shit. Did see a lot of that. But then there's the aspect of those people who aren't ready for like those big changes, or who are the outcast, like I was in school, where you didn't know where you belong, you didn't know who were really your friends, you didn't really like being there, and there's a lot of those people who, when they were in high school, just end up doing something to harm themselves, or in the word understand, which I get that, in the modern world, we get that a lot because of bullying and shit like that, which I will say, I'm not going to say there shouldn't be bullying. I'm not going to go that far. But the cyberbullying shit, we do need to like start telling kids, be like, don't worry about this shit. Like, unless they're saying this to your face, fuck them up. Like that, the whole thing of like there should be no violence is stupid to me. There should definitely be violence, especially when you're sticking up for yourself. Like there should be fighting, there should be arguing and shit like that. Always. There's just how we are. I don't believe in the whole, oh, you shouldn't fight, you shouldn't hit somebody. Like, no. If somebody is talking shit about you, you fight. If you're getting, like, especially if you're the one getting, like, bullied or the one being talked about or just defending yourself, it is, as up, Jeremy, I see you, it is just the way of the world. It's bullying, especially back then. Because now, I feel like because a lot of people got bullied back then and didn't do those things, they tell their kids don't fight, or try to tell them like think positive or do other shit, and then you end up seeing a fucking like a 7-year-old killing themselves. You shouldn't have that. I was told when I was younger, if somebody's messing with you, picking on you, talking about you, don't like, if they're talking about you, leave it alone or whatever. But if they like physically trying to hurt you, fight them. Like don't be the person who starts it, be the person who finishes it. That is the mind state we should have. And school should see that same thing. Now, as someone who was bigger than most kids in high school, it looked like I was the one who started it, where I was the one who was finishing it. That is the thing that needs to be fixed in schools as well. It is not always the big kid who is starting something with a smaller person. It is usually the smaller person starting something with the bigger person because they are jealous that the other kid is bigger than them and then wants to talk shit. I was a fat kid from like fourth grade to basically still now. I was a big kid. I was husky. And I was taller than most people. When it was picture day, I was usually like the second or third from the back. So I got shitted on a lot. I had a lot of people talking shit about me and all that stuff. And back then, I had a bad temper, and I always wanted to fight people. And that's the only thing about like school and stuff like that. And I mean, honestly, you can go to a fucking therapist or shit like that, and then learn to calm that shit down. But that's the one thing about school is you can kind of learn about like not being that person of like having that short fuse and just letting shit go. But then also, with life, you learn how to do that shit too, because you'll see those same people, like 5 years later, and then be like, oh, they ain't shit. I'm better than them. Like why did I let them get to me when they're nothing? Now going back to I'm gonna go into grading. Grading in school is the dumbest shit to me because I'm gonna go back to the high school because like I said, elementary school, shit like that, it's whatever. They give you like well, I don't know if they still have this, but it's like when I was in school, it was it was like ESGU, whatever, like something stupid. It was like excellent, satisfactory, good, and then unsatisfactory, some shit like that. And then, at a certain point, you got A, B, C, D, and Fs. Which I still don't get why there's no E in that, but whatever. There needs to be a better way of scoring. When I was in high school, a test would not mean as much over homework. And I always thought that was dumb because I could pass a test, no problem. I didn't want to always do fucking homework, which still someone like that. Like I never understood why I had so much homework. Like like if I got notes and shit like that, why do I have to fucking do homework? I know it's for some people is I know somebody's be like, oh, it's so that they know you retain the whatever. I retain it when I take the test. You give me a book that I had to pay for that is out of date. A lot of schools had out of date textbooks, or they just had books that was just in the fucking room, which can still out of dated, and you already knew somebody else had this book because it was a list of names already in it, and then fucking graffiti and shit and the fucking pages ripped out or whatever. Can we get some fucking funding for schools, please? Can we get funding for schools and just decent textbooks? If they even still have textbooks anymore. Neither here nor there. Still, there needs to be a better way of grading or something. Like this whole pass fail shit, it's not gonna work. Like it, and I know for a lot of places, you have to have like those like the big classes. Like when I was going to school, we had a class of like 30 people, which it's kind of hard to be one on one with all those people, especially in one semester when you got to get shit done. You got a whole syllabus and shit that you got to get through till finals. You can't give everybody that one on one. Now I think now they are starting to do like more smaller classes so you can get that one on one attention. I think they were doing classes of like 15 or something like that, which cuts it in half. So it's probably getting a little bit better, but I still feel like kind of don't need that homework, like all that shit ton of fucking homework for somebody to grade and then be like, oh well, you didn't do that. Like, n- I still remember like my math classes or like social studies and or like minority studies and shit like that, where they would give us well, okay, math class, like geometry and shit like that. Which again, unless you about to like fucking build houses or do some shit like that, no one should know how to fucking do an ellipsis. Like nobody. But they would give us all this fucking dumb homework and be like, or anybody, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all remember this, having to spend $200 on a graphing calculator, but then you couldn't use that shit on tests and shit. Like, I'm like, what? Wait, you made me spend all this money. Well, not me. You made my parents spend all this money on this fucking calculator, but I can't use it for certain shit. That is dumb. Like that is the dumbest shit in the world. It's oh we need you to. It is a requirement that you have this, but you can't use this when you actually need to use it. That is stupid to me. It's just so many things. Like I said, it needs to be a different way to grade. Test should be way more than fucking homework. I get it. You have more homework that you probably do test, but a test just supposed to show what you retained. That should be more points than anything. It should be like fucking 40% of your grades. Fucking homework should be like 10. Probably not even that. Now I say this as someone who was like a C plus student, B like a C plus B student, who I did just kind of get fucking by. I didn't really I had the attitude of I just want to get the fuck out of here and get to college because when I was like 14, I didn't like being around the people that were around my age, which I was like that even when I was younger than that. It was big, and it's because most of the people I was around were not my age. They were older than me. Like most of my family and like my brother, my cousins were a lot older than me. The closest person who was around my age was my one cousin Ashley, who was like 2 years older than me. And that, but everybody else was like most of my cousins, my brother, they were all basically in high school. And so I hung around more older people. And so when I got into high school, I was just like, fuck all the people that are around my age. I wanted to hang out with the juniors and the seniors. I wanted to date more like the juniors and seniors, which kind of worked in my favor, especially like hanging around like the juniors and seniors because I knew a lot of the basketball players and football players and stuff like that, and a lot of the ones I knew were actually fucking cool. They wanted to hang out with me. It wasn't just me tagged along and just being like, oh, we don't really want you around. They actually did like me, which was cool. I'm actually still friends with a lot of those people on Facebook and talk to them here or there, but they got their own fucking lives. Most of them got kids and shit, which I still don't. Hell yeah. But anyway, there needs to be a better way. There needs to be a better system of showing someone's intelligence. Just and, and I will say this too, especially with like English classes, actually learning to break down a paper. When I was in high school, they did that fucking like 5 point system, which was dumb as fuck. Because when you go into college, especially if you were someone who was trying to go into like literature or journalism or whatever, you got to write a lot of papers. When you're in high school, it was just, oh, you did this paper, 5 point, like your 5 points or whatever, which got you however many points in the fucking system. It's stupid. They don't actually tell you what you need to work on. They don't tell you, oh, I see what you did here with this, but you need to do this a little different. You need to do this different. This blah blah blah. Like I said, if high school is supposed to prepare you for college, they're not doing it right. I'll even get more into that because, like I said, going into ACTs or for everybody else, SATs, LSATs, MSATs, whatever. When when it was that time for me to take it, they were stressing so much, being like, "This is the most important test you'll take. This test, it gets shown to colleges, and it'll get you, like if you fail this, it's like they basically made it seem like if you failed this fucking test, it was over for you. You're gonna be fucking working at McDonald's for the rest of your life." Meanwhile, at my old high school, the fucking predominantly black one, all my friends were like, "Oh no, they didn't stress it that much. They were just like, take the test, do as best as you can." And they were getting fucking great. Like, I have friends who got like fucking 30s and were not that fucking smart people. But like they were getting like good scores. Me, when I took my shit, I was stressed the fuck out. I had like my teachers were stressing me out, my parents were stressing me out, all that shit. I got a fucking 16. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really fucking care. Around that time, it was just like whatever. I just want the shit to be done, so I get the fuck up out of here. And when I got that shit, so I got a 16. I could have went to fucking Chicago State when I was still living in Chicago, which ain't a bad fucking school. My school dream school I wanted to go to was NIU or University of Illinois, because if I was in NIU, which is Northern Illinois, I was gonna be a Husky like most of my cousins. Or if I went to U of I was a Fighting Illini, orange and blue, cool as shit. But the schools that said that would accept me was Chicago State and a bunch of other places. And I had the option of retaking it, but I'm just like, I don't really fucking want to, because isn't it like they stress you out so much thinking that if you don't get a good score, your future is over. And they shouldn't tell you that. It should be, hey, do as best as you can, and if you get a low score, retake it, blah 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 blah, because it will help you in the long run, because that'll get you better. I don't know how I won't say this. If you got a better score, it could give you other like necessities like getting a full ride. Well, I won't say like a full ride, especially like especially just from a fucking a score on a test. But they should tell you like other incentives of what you get from getting a better score, not just being like, oh, you'll get into a better college, if you get a fucking 30 or whatever, and then over if you get what I got a 16, and then just be like, oh, your life is over. Like it shouldn't be this cataclysmic thing, college word. It should it shouldn't be this big endeavor of if you don't pass this, your life is over. That's how they made it seem for me. And I should turn the light on, but I don't care. And that's another thing too of like you have all that stress because you're like, oh, if I don't pass this, I'm gonna be a failure. My parents are this and that, blah blah blah. Which leads to a lot of people having that anxiety and panic attacks. And I really do feel like that's where that shit stems from. Like if you're someone now who has like anxiety and panic attacks and shit like that, you got that from school because that's how they fucking treated you. Because it went from having that shit in school to having that from like a job where they tell you it was like, or if you have one of those jobs where just like it's imperative that you be here because if you don't, and blah 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 blah, and then you just constantly just having that fucking anxiety. And I really do think that's where that shit stems from is school, because you're already dealing with so much. Your body is producing all these fucking hormones and shit like that, and then you got to deal with these people fucking stressing you out on a daily basis, and then you get into what was like my junior, I think it was like junior year when we had to take this test, and then being like, this is your future. If you don't pass this, you're gonna be nothing, and da 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 blah blah blah. It's like you're gonna waste your future. Like that's some stressful fucking shit. Like that is some shit that'll fucking weigh on you. And you're fucking a kid. You're a fucking kid. You're 16, 17 years old, being like, fuck. If I don't pass this, the rest of my life means nothing. Now, me, like I was more, like I said, with me, I was just like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. I usually got good grades or whatever, unless I just didn't fucking care. Like, I'll be honest with you, I almost didn't pass fucking seventh grade. Real shit. I legit, I had two F's and a D, and that D saved me from fucking having to repeat seventh grade. And that was just because, one, I was in trouble all the time because I was getting in fights. But then two, I just didn't care for being there. Like, I didn't. I didn't care about my teachers. I didn't care about doing all the fucking homework and doing all this other bullshit. I just did not want to be there. And I almost failed. I had, like, high school, had to take so many fucking night classes and summer school and shit like that because I fucked up my sophomore year because I didn't want to fucking be there. I caught senioritis early, and I had my mom telling me that, my idiot stepdad at the time telling me that it was like you called senioritis early, thinking that it's a cakewalk and you haven't even done anything yet. And he's kind, even though I hate saying it, like he was kind of right, but then still wrong too, because I just it's not that I called senioritis. I just didn't want to be in school. I thought my time would be better somewhere else. Like if I could have just worked, I would have rather just worked than try to get a fucking diploma. Which I'm glad I got my diploma. I had to jump through all these fucking hoops to get it. Which I know in hindsight I should have just did the fucking work and said fuck it and just left it alone. But hey, I got my diploma. Don't have a college degree because I don't have fucking like $50,000 to spend out of school, especially for what I was trying to go for. And maybe yeah, like I said, a trade school is probably would have been better for me than going to a big university or a junior college or anything like that. Which junior college like isn't as expensive. I think I only had to pay like a grand for a semester, which ain't bad. But going to a university where I had to spend $7,000 like for a semester, which I will say this for what I got and for what I did, aside from like a few classes that I dropped, it was not as bad of an experience. But that was because I was like 22 when I went to fucking university and wasn't a fucking idiot. Now, if I was 18, went straight to a university and was like try to party and shit like that, which is what I did when I was 22. But I was smarter than that. I went to my classes, did the work I needed to do, and then by like Thursday night, went out and like had fun. Like like sometimes it was Thursdays. Usually it was just Friday and Saturday. Go out, party, drink, try to have sex, which is the college thing, and then Sunday recover and then do whatever English paper that I had to like whatever 5 page English paper I had to do and got that shit done within like 2 hours before like the deadline, which is like typical college thing is try to get something done like an hour before the deadline hits. But it could be way more simple, way more. But because school and government and federal shit, they gotta make it seem like this school is more special because of this. I'm like, no, like I think it's like Harvard or Yale or something like that. You can take like one of those like an Ivy League class. You just won't get I guess you won't get a credit or you just won't get a degree from it, whatever. But you can legit go online right now and take one of those classes for free, and you could I don't want to say you'd be a master at it, but like you could learn whatever that is. You could do literally do that shit for free. I'd rather just do that and just not have the fucking degree and not have to spend all that money than to go to 4 or 8 year. Some people even longer than that to get a fucking degree, and then some people don't even go into that field. No, you did all this hard work and spent all this money, and you don't even get the career that you want. You still end up working at fucking like Dillon's or at a warehouse or just maybe even being just a fucking secretary or something like that, or just being a mailman, which is nothing wrong with being a mailman. They make fucking dough. That is another problem with schooling is you do all this, but they don't really help you out. Now, when I went to college, when I went to my university or whatever, they said that they would help you find a job in your field. I really don't think they would have been able to, especially with what I was trying to do. I was trying to be a game developer, learn how to like make my own video games. Never got to that point because I was only there for one semester. I never even got to go into the computer lab. But that was my whole thing. And then also, And with hindsight, learning the stuff I know now, it would have not been that great of a job. I would have spent money to, yes, learn something that would have made me happy, but would have been a detriment in the long run because I hear about these game developers, and when they work for a company, and shit can go south really fast, like really 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 fast. There is a lady who is a referee for AEW. She was a game developer. I think still is. Went to school for it. Worked with I think Bungie and Bethesda and whatever else for the different bunch of places. And literally talked about how it was stressful. It was 80-hour work weeks. It you work so hard to get this game done, and it's one of your best feelings, and then out of nowhere, the place that you work for can just get shut down. And that could be for a lot of other people. You pick something to where it is, I'll say niche, or not, maybe not even niche. Like it could be, I don't know, something at this point, but it could be somewhere it's like you think it's something guaranteed, and then next it can just be shut down like that. And again, you wasted so much money, especially in something that is competitive. Like being a gaming developer is competitive. So if you pick something that is a competitive field and there's so many that do it, it's going to be even harder for you. Like shit, me right now, like I'm a DJ. It is a competitive field where it's so many of us that we got to try so hard to get our foot into anywhere. And I had to get a fucking degree to be a DJ. It was just working hard. So that is my reasons and things of like why school is bullshit and what needs to change and shit like that. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. Again, I'm on Facebook and YouTube. I might try to spend the money so that way I can be on Twitch and Twitter and all those other stuff again. But let me know what you think. Again, like, share, subscribe, follow me on everything. Again, everything is Negative Degree Podcast. Join the Discord, be a part of the Frozen Wasteland. Let's conversate. Tell me your opinions on all of this, because I really do want to know everybody's opinion. I know it's getting dark out. Sorry about that. Should have turned the fucking light on. Just didn't feel like getting up because I was into it. But hope you all enjoyed this. I will try to do another podcast sometime soon, maybe Friday or something. I want to get Jake back on here too, because I know he's been like itching to get back on here. If not him, try to get somebody, or try to get somebody on, because I do miss having guests on this podcast. But until then, I've been your host, DJ Frostbite. Good night. Well, not good night. Take care, and as always, stay negative, my friends.